that time once again. We are back with the show. And what does that mean? With it being the first episode of season 4, we got new MLB The Show news. We got the 23 release date. We got the cover. We got other exciting news that's coming to the game. But first off, Cougs, it's been a minute since we sat in this chair. You guys watching or listening the podcast, how's everything going, man? Is it going quicker than you thought? Because this time last year, when 22 cover got released, we felt like it's been going kind of quick. I don't know if we could say the same right now with 23. I mean, it's basically almost a month away, but still, it feels a long way to go.
Yeah, no, things have been good. Been kind of not necessarily taking a step back from content, but I'm giving myself some time to relax before the new game comes out. I've got a lot of good content ideas rolling in my head, and I'm kind of waiting for the new game to come out to start bringing those ideas out there. So yeah, I'm kind of just enjoying some other games right now. I'm hanging out with my girlfriend, hanging out with my friends a lot. So yeah, I'm taking it easy, and I kind of feel the same way as you. It feels this year that the wait between the announcement of 23 versus the release date of it feels a little bit longer, even if we're on relatively the same timetable that they did last year with 22's marketing like releases. 22 just feels like it died way sooner than 21 did. So it honestly feels like we've been waiting for 23 for 4 or 5 months as opposed to, you know, 2 or 3 like we were last year. So I am very excited about it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I think 23 has a lot of potential, and I'm excited for it. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't looking at the calendar daily, just hoping it was March 24th.
It's funny how that is because games actually getting released earlier than it did last year, and it still feels that way. I think that we saw where the community was kind of like getting more impatient each day, even though we kind of expected a timeline because we saw what happened last year, and they're pretty much following the same timeline this year based on the game, except for with the game being released a little earlier. But yeah, I'm just happy that we are looking forward to each week. And so far, it's been the past couple days regarding the new news of 23. But let's first start with the standard edition. We got Jazz Chisholm, now center fielder of the Marlins, not no longer the second baseman. He is going to be our cover athlete for the standard edition. And to be honest, for me, I'm sure you kind of feel the same way. If you're talking about markability and the type of vibe and presence that Jazz brings, it seemed like a good choice, even though he didn't have the full season last year, being injury. I think he sidelined for over almost the second half. I believe he was an
Yeah.
all-star last year, but he was sidelined for the second half. And even though I think a lot of people had expectations it was going to be Julio, because the last couple of years it was kind of whoever we predicted was right. I would say Ohtani and then Tatis. And I wouldn't say Javi, but for the last two with Tatis and Ohtani, we kind of predicted who it would be. And Jazz was up there, but I think a lot of people thought it was Julio. But still, Jazz is a fantastic choice. And we know that he loves to play the game too on top of it, as we saw with the cover reveal. So that was pretty dope. Thoughts on Jazz being the cover here?
Um, I'm cool with it. Like, is he my favorite cover athlete choice of all time? No. Do I think there were probably was he on my like short list of predictions? No. I kind of felt like there were some other players out there that I thought would be, closer to getting the cover than he would. But at the end of the day, Jazz is a fun player. He is a marketable player. He is a good player when he's on the field, when he's healthy. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, the cover athlete for me really doesn't mean much. Last year with Otani on the cover, that was cool just because I had never seen an Angel on the cover of the game. But the cover athlete, obviously, for me, is never going to dictate whether I'm going to buy the game or not. So at the end of the day, it's just a kind of an idea to get hyped what player you're going to see whenever you actually click the button to start up the game on your console. Like that's all the cover athlete really comes down to. But yeah, it's a cool choice. It's a different choice. I do like Jazz a lot. Never really have been all that great with his cards in the game. We did just
Mhm.
get a 99 Jazz in 22 as like a free card. They usually do that every year. Kind of like that's the end of content pretty much for the years when the cover athlete comes out and they release the free version, and that free Jazz is really good. So yeah, I'm fine with it. At the end of the day, what matters to me is if the game is good. If the game is really good and it's got a cover athlete that I'm not crazy about, I'm taking that 100 times out of 100 because at the end of the day, I play the game for the gameplay.
Yeah, exactly, and it's funny how you brought up the gameplay. I do have a little theory, but we'll get that to a little bit later on, what I mean about the gameplay. But yeah, the Jazz was a win. What do you think of the cover itself? Like, love the colors, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. I like purple and blue combination. It had that type of vibe to it, and then it's funny because with the hints that they gave us, once I saw that on Twitter, they changed their profile picture and it had the blue and purple in it. I was like, that's kind of a giveaway because if you look up what Jazz does, he has like these purple cleats or purple gloves, and then these blue and purple cleats that he rocks. And it's not hard. I mean, it'd be kind of hard for a casual fan to catch on to that, but for like someone that typically watches baseball, I feel like, and which typically is the MLB Show community, at least on social media, they kinda caught on to that, like, "Alright, this is definitely Jazz."
Yeah, no, I think the cover's cool. I personally like for me, I kind of wish they went with more of like a maybe like a Miami Vice type of look if they're gonna highlight,
Okay.
Jazz and Miami and stuff. Maybe a little neon and stuff in there. I think that'd be pretty cool, a little synth wave type action. But I mean the colors are nice. It's not my favorite design on
Okay.
like with the pink and blue star and the orange like kind of like squiggles and stuff. But once again, at the end of the day, the cover to me
It's
really
just like
doesn't make a difference.
yeah, exactly. But, the secondary cover kinda does make a difference
Hmm.
if we wanna talk about it. It's a good segue. It might not just because of the cover itself, it's because who's on the cover. And it finally came. It didn't come leaked on the Nintendo store like we saw last year that we thought might happen. Maybe it was a year too early to see that, but indeed it was broadcasted actually on national TV on the Jimmy Fallon show where we had the Captain Edition cover athlete being Derek Jeter, who I mean, he's been a top legend to be in MLB The Show for I don't know, since ever, since
Yeah.
DG ever got introduced, I would say.
Yep.
And Jeter, as we saw, he's been in public more so in the past couple of years, and it felt like it was only a matter of time. And now he will indeed be the cover of the Captain Edition, the Deluxe Edition, and it was great to see because that's big. That's really big. That might be bigger than anything we ever seen for a cover, maybe since Griffey.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Derek Jeter next to Ken Griffey Jr. is the most iconic baseball cover athlete in a video game ever. I mean, you think about all the games that he's been on the cover of, MLB 2K, All-Star Baseball. He had like his own little mobile game that he was on the cover. Like when he was playing, he was, all over baseball video games. And it's been a while since we've seen him in a game, and no better time to introduce him than right now. And I think MLB The Show, honestly, my theory is that MLB The Show has Jazz as their cover athlete, and they're like, okay, maybe our hardcore community will really like Jazz on the cover, but for like, more the casual baseball fans, Jazz might not be a guy that you really know about. Jazz might not be, the most household name, but who is a household name? Derek Jeter. You get Derek Jeter on the cover of the deluxe edition. that's huge because now everybody who's like, "Oh, Jazz Chisholm's on the cover. I don't really care about that." They see
Mhm.
Jeter and they're like, "Okay, that catches my attention a little bit more." That's the spark that I think they wanted to get there. Whereas last year with Otani, you know, there was the Takashi cover that was on the digital deluxe edition. And I think MLB The Show or SDS felt like, oh, Otani's already so marketable. He's got that huge international appeal. Kind of feels like almost a wasted opportunity to use another cover athlete where we can just use him on both, just because of how big of a name Otani is in the international market. So it's a big deal that Derek Jeter's on the cover. It's a big deal that we'll get to use him in Diamond Dynasty. Finally, all these years of
Yep.
speculating what Derek Jeter cards are going to look like is finally coming to an end. We're finally going to see if they give him silver defense on his end game card. We're finally going to see if they give him, 110, 115 power. Who knows what it's going to be with what we've seen this year with the cards that they've released, retro finest, the way the finest look. Derek Jeter could absolutely get an insanely good card in many different ways. I'm stoked.
Yeah, he's definitely a good card. I mean, I think you made this post yourself. If Ozzie Smith could get, what, 100 power
Yeah.
for what he's been known to do, there's no doubt in my mind that Jeter's gonna get good, especially with the introduction of Retro Finest. Who knows, they might have another series up their belt to introduce this year that might help with Jeter. I mean, we already saw something with the Captain Choice Pack where they gave us a little information, but we'll get that to momentarily. But yeah, and Jeter's definitely gonna have a card. He'll definitely have the end game card. I think he correct me if I'm wrong here, you would rather see his 99 come out sooner as the first batch of 99s during the year than later. Would
Yeah,
that
for me,
be
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Like I
So,
I think I mean, obviously, like you don't want to release everybody too early. You don't want to kind of screw up the balance and the cycle of the game. But you also, I feel like this year they kind of waited a little bit too long to release some of the really good 99s in the game, and some guys still never even got their really good 99. Willie Mays, Lou Gehrig, guys like that. Um, I think SDS kind of has to find that middle ground of, okay, our game has this as the life cycle. If we can capitalize in certain, like, if they could look at the life cycle of their game and see kind of the hills and the valleys, take what traditionally might be the valleys and introduce one of these big 99s, Griffey, Jeter, who, I don't know who else they're gonna get. Maybe a Tim Lincecum, maybe, any of these other big legends that a lot of people are looking for. Like, if they kind of release them in those valleys, you can make this game feel like it's lasting longer than it actually even is. And I feel like SDS has kind of struggled with that in the past. So I think they have an opportunity this year with some new legends coming into the game. Some of the guys we're going to talk about here in a minute, they have an opportunity this year, and I really hope they execute on that.
yeah, I'm right with you. Do you think we'll see him as a collection? Like talking about the regular live series collection.
Um, I personally don't. I think that'd be kind of a wasted opportunity.
I do too.
Because what?
No, I agree. I do
Oh,
too.
I
I'm with
I
it.
thought you
Yeah,
said you
yeah.
disagree, and I was going to ask why. But like I said before, I think Jeter is kind of in that same ballpark, no pun intended, as a guy like Ken Griffey Jr., where people just want to play with a
Play with.
good Jeter, a good Griffey, a good Mickey Mantle. People want to play with these cards and not. I'm not saying every single card should just be handed to you. Like, obviously, you got to do something, grinding, offline, online, whatever it's going to be. I just feel like a guy like Jeter should probably be a little bit more on the attainable side, because if we're speculating on what his cards are going to look like, he is not going to be the best shortstop in the game. Like, I don't think he will be. I think there's at least two or three guys off the top of my head that I think could get better end game cards than Jeter's would be. So I think for that reason alone, they probably will make him a little bit more easy to attain. Um, and he's a cover athlete. Usually the cover athletes are pretty gettable.
Yeah. So, not only that, they usually when they have someone that big, they've been good about that for cards that it's not might be their end game cards, but they'll have like how they did the Face of the Franchise, pre-order packs or something in towards that line, and, if we look at the editions with the Digital Deluxe and, the Captain Edition, there is a Captain's Choice pack where we might actually see we would see Derek Jeter in that card, so you actually would be able to play with Jeter right away. So they're pretty good with that with new legends now. Like if there's a new legend that they know people want to play with, it might not be the end game card right away, which makes sense, but you'll get a version of that. 'Cause I remember, I think the when Pedro got released, I feel like I had more fun with his face of the franchise Pedro at the beginning of the game when we had that 88 than I did for his endgame card, which was the Signature Series card, which we went over plenty of times on this podcast and what we felt about that card at that time. But I feel like I had more fun with that card at that time. And who knows? The Jeter that could get released early on might be your favorite card to get. For me, I'm looking for a veteran Jeter for BR because he might have that high contact, be like a Trey Turner esque type of card because I feel like his swing is gonna be really good in this game.
I
I
think it'll
do.
be quick. Yeah.
Yep. And it usually those type of quick swings work, right? So, I expect his card to be actually pretty damn good. But go over those additions. When you saw the Captain's Choice pack that I just mentioned before, did that perk your ears like, "Okay, if you're going to bring that particular choice pack in the game, you know they're gonna have to have some new legend coming out from that."
Oh yeah, some new legends. I assume in that pack there's probably it's a captain's pack. There's probably gonna be Jeter. There's probably gonna be I would assume they probably put Judge in there since Judge has
Yep.
just been named captain. Um, but see, we all know where this is leading, Scuffy. Why don't you take the reins on this? We're talking. You
Yeah,
know where this
I
path goes.
I know where this path goes because but I don't wanna get let down once again because I really thought he was coming last year, and the
Same,
guy that we're
same.
talking about is the other New York captain during the mid-2000s, and that was, David Wright from the Mets, and it's kinda writing on the walls, right? It has if you're gonna have a captain choice pack, you're introducing the New York captain, um from the Yankees during that time. You gotta get the Mets one too. So I'm hoping, um, I assume he's gonna be in that choice pack as well. So I'll be very happy about it. That would indeed be my choice of a player without a doubt within that pack. And I mean, we don't even know if they have WBC either, right?
Yeah,
So maybe they were just waiting for right with Derek. They had to know that they had Derek for the cover for quite a while,
yeah.
right?
I would assume. Yeah,
I around the same time with Jazz, and maybe that was, like, I don't know, or there was Bruin that coming before, 22 got released. Maybe they wanna wait David to come out this year because you'll have WBC if they have the rights to it, and then, of course, the Captain Choice pack, so I'm
yep.
hoping he's in there. There's other names out there too, Coos, one that played for your Angels. Wow, he wasn't the captain during the Angels, he was captain for another AL West team, but there's a player out there I'm hoping that comes back.
Yeah.
Do you think you
It's
can guess who that is?
Captain. Wait,
Wait,
when did he play for the Angels?
had to play somewhere in 2000, right? Played for Red Sox, Angels, and then Rangers. I could be wrong.
Red Sox,
Hopefully, I'm not.
Angels, Rangers. I
Let me
I might be
no,
tripping.
maybe I'm wrong here. He played for the Red Sox. Hold on. Let me look at Baseball Reference real quick.
Are we talking? We're not talking about Vlad, right?
Oh, no, he didn't play for the Angels. I'm thinking of Red Sox. Never mind. He played for the Dodgers. That's the LA team he played for. Never mind. That's easier. So Dodgers, Seattle, Boston, and then Rangers. You should get it now.
Boston and the. I'm
He
losing
went
it.
from Boston to the Rangers. He's gonna be eligible for the Hall of Fame next year. That's another team, and he should be first ballot.
Boss, I'm lost.
Adrian Beltre.
Oh yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I
I don't know
dude,
why I
I
thought you played
think
for the Angels. It was Boston that I was thinking of. I knew
yeah,
there was
no,
one
like
like red and I mean navy and maroon type of color team he played for.
yeah, I
So
I never remember him on any team other than the Rangers. So like and you said Boston to in my head, Beltre is like a career long Ranger, even though he played for multiple teams. it's just the way my brain works. I'm like, who are we talking about here? But no, he
Yeah.
would be great, and I feel like the last time we had him in the game was what, either 16 or 17. Like he should be back at some point. If we've got guys like David Ortiz coming back, we should be able to get um Adrian Beltre back in the game too.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I mean, he was the Rangers captain, which I really didn't even realize he was the Rangers captain. I didn't know that was a thing until I see start people posting like, "Oh, we could get this player back, this player back." I was like, Beltre was the captain for Rangers. I don't even remember that. But yeah, last year was 17. He actually got me my first flawless in 17. That Dodgers card, I think it
Oh, yeah.
was the
I think it's an '04
a
card,
which one?
like
It was the oh 4
2004
one?
Dodgers.
Yeah. And I think it was like the AL West collection at the time. But that card, oh my god. I loved using this card. It reminds me of Stanton, but better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, he would be fun to have back. Plus, he would be good defensively at third too.
yeah, exactly. The Gold Glove no matter what. So and then he could come in right. I mean, we'll get him this year. We'll have him for multiple years. He'll be a Hall of Famer next year, celebrate that. There's multiple things you can do with that. So any other like captains that I'm hearing like Jason Varitek could be another one from the Red Sox. I mean, he actually rocked the C on his jersey too. He'll be like a
Yeah,
Jorge Posada type. Not as better, I don't think, as Jorge, but he'll be like that mid-tier legend that you can add.
yeah. Not I don't know off the top of my head. Like other players, like
J
I'm thinking of like another Yankee. I'm thinking of like Thurman Munson or something. But I'm like, are they really gonna put three Yankees in the same pack if that's the case? Like Judge, Jeter, Munson.
Yeah,
Like I don't know. And that's
yeah.
just new
I don't
legends.
know.
There's obviously still other, players that are currently in the league too. But yeah, I don't know. Whatever comes out in that pack, I'm ready for it because usually at the start of the year they introduce some promo packs that have some new legends. This year we got the cover athlete pack. Last year we had a certain one. I forget what it was, but um I'm in, man. I'm ready for the captains, and there's more to discuss with captains when we start talking about some of the tidbits of information that we got from certain blog
Yeah.
posts and certain descriptions of the game. So captain does not just relate to the cover athlete and the pack. There's more to it.
Yeah, there's more to it. We'll get to that, a little bit later in the podcast, but yeah, that excites me too once we go over it. But there was another thing that got added this week on Monday, and it's probably one of the most historic things that gets added to MLB Show, and it's been a long time waiting for a lot of users that play MLB Show, and that is bringing the Negro leagues into MLB The Show, and not only that, they're bringing 7 to 8 legends, where it is Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, Thompson, Hilton Smith, Ruth Foster, Buck O'Neill, John Donaldson, and Martin, Dehingo, hopefully I didn't botch his last name, into the game, and not only that, the way they are introducing, the Negro Leagues into the game is doing a story-based type mode, which we'll learn a lot more tomorrow on their first feature, or today if you're listening to the podcast on the feature that I believe it's, 5 PM Eastern, 2 PM Pacific time on their social, media channels. Um, but either way, just to see how they're introducing the history. Like we remember the Jackie program they had, just go through the period that the timeline he had. And then I think they did something similar with the moments in 19 where they actually then they had like the Babe Ruth moment where you actually played in black and white. Um, and then they showed the video beforehand and then you play the moment. I'm going to assume it's something very similar to this, and you get to learn about that. Not only that, it's not just from all generations. Whoever play MLB Show are going to get to learn the history behind this, and I think that's just absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait to see how it's implemented, and can't wait to actually play it as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, there some other storylines. They had like a Griffey storyline, they had a Harper storyline. Um, I think there was another. I don't remember all of them, but it seems like this storyline thing is just basically, you know, it's taking that and turning it into its own new thing, its own game mode. And honestly, it's really, really great that this is in the game because, some of the, best players that baseball has ever seen came up through the Negro leagues. And, a
Yes.
lot of people don't know about them just because it's that league doesn't have the spotlight that, Major League Baseball has had. And it's like, there's so much history there, there's so much talent, there's so many awesome stories to tap into, and I think this is a great way to do it. Because yeah, think about it from even like a different like perspective here. Like when MLB The Show starts releasing prospect cards into Diamond Dynasty, at least I speak for myself here, I start to, remember more of these prospects. I start to form kind of like not necessarily an attachment, but I kind of have like the idea of these prospects in my head. So that way, when I see them out on the field in real baseball, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember using that guy. He was great for me in that BR run. I hope I hope he has a really good season, and I hope he comes up and it's kind of that same idea. You don't really, or at least for myself, I don't have a ton of knowledge about the Negro leagues. And so getting these storylines through MLB The Show in an interactive way where you get these, gameplay, uh, uh, you know, or these pieces of gameplay with these informational videos about the whole thing. I think it's great. Um, and what I really like about it is that it's a multi-year thing. So
Yes.
this storylines that they're adding, this is season one. And according to the blog post, MLB The Show 24 would add season two, which would probably be another, I don't know, maybe say 8 or 10 legends. And, I don't know how many years exactly it's going to go for, but I hope they do this as long as they can because, these guys need attention. They need the spotlight for what they've done for baseball. It's such an awesome addition. And like you said when we started talking about it, this is something that is like pretty monumental for the game and something that people have been asking for a long time. So I love the way they're doing it. And hey, I'll play through the storylines, but as a Diamond Dynasty player, I'm just excited to use some of these guys on my squad because these are going to be some really good players.
Yes. I can't wait to use Satchel Paige. That's one name. I mean, it's I always wanted him in the game alongside Josh Gibson, who wasn't confirmed, but I'm sure Josh Gibson will come maybe another iteration of Almuda's show because they can't just give all the players at once, since they're doing multiple seasons of this. But it's funny how you brought up the prospects that you learned about and then you start rooting for and because playing that movie show. I feel like we kind of already did that with John Donaldson. I wasn't too familiar with John Donaldson, but after looking and just seeing the community feedback, John Donaldson threw 14 no hitters. I think three
Yes.
perfect games. It's something nuts like that. And you're like, oh, okay. This is something that this card right here could be, something special if we're able to play with DDD. Haven't confirmed it, but I'm just gonna assume they will be part of DD. But either way, you hear that and your eyes perk up like, okay, there's something here with this card that, this player that's gonna be a lot of fun to play with.
Yeah, no, like I said, there's so much untapped potential for, not just, MLB The Show, but just for baseball fans as a whole to kind of get an idea of the talent that was in, you know, the Negro leagues, and now we get to see them in Diamond Dynasty in the game going against, you know, major league lineups and regular like live series players and stuff. Like it's just such a cool idea to kind of have all of these things converge, and I'm a big fan of it. And like I said, we get the feature premiere. I'm really curious to see what the whole entire mode really looks like, if there's more to it than just playing through the storylines, if there's some side stuff to do and stuff too. Like I'm pretty pumped for this.
Exactly, and that'll be something we'll be covering on next, episode because we'll have a feature, we'll tell you what we think about it and go from there. Another little tidbit before we move on is if, you notice the side by side that people are doing with, the graphical wise of 23 when seeing the pictures of the Negro League players compared to last year, like how a little bit more detail it looks. I'm not too sure if it's just based because the uniforms were different during that time compared to what major league players right now. But once we get into what we know about the tidbits they did indicate that the environment details within uniforms and other such things like stadiums were improved on. So it looks like we might had a little graphical, uh, I guess, upgrade. We'll say I can't we can't really confirm until we see more gameplay. That just might be how the pictures are present currently, and it might still feel it's on. I don't know how to phrase this, Googs.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
I think the screenshots did look very good. There's a possibility that in the background of the screenshots, it even confirmed a new classic stadium. I don't
yes,
remember what the stadium's called, but uh, yeah, no, the images, the screenshots looked great. For me, graphics are not really what
I
makes or break the game for me. But an improvement is always nice.
yeah,
I don't think we'll truly see a major, major improvement that really is gonna be eye opening until they kind of drop the PS4 generation.
I
Um,
agree.
until we just go, current gen only. So yeah, no, improved graphics are never a bad thing.
They actually put a little tidbit. Didn't it in something like with the pre-order? They said last gen this
Yeah,
time around.
yeah,
So I mean, that might be just like a hint, hint type of thing.
yeah.
Because
I think
what
yeah,
this is the 3rd year with the PS5?
21, yeah, 21,
22?
22,
Yeah,
23.
so
Yep.
I think it's about that time to
Yeah.
be like, and move on to next generation come next year. Well, I should say current gen, because who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, the PS5 Pro might come out by next year, because I
Yeah,
feel like
honestly,
it's
yeah.
usually, like, the 4th year where they get, like, the Pro and then, Xbox do whatever they do. I'm not sure how they phrase it, um, for their, like, extension to the Series X. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. That's for next year. We'll figure that when the time comes. But I think it's time to actually go into the tidbits that we heard.
Yep.
Where let me pull up that real quick. I had it up. I still have it up. You. So I'm just going to read out what we haven't covered yet. So this is from the pre-order page when you go to PS5 or Xbox Series X or Switch. Um, and this is what the description they have for MLB Show 23. We already went over the Negro release. That was the first bullet. Let's go over the second. Live out your baseball dreams with expanded commentary and in-game presentation updates that bring up updated broadcast themes, realistic 3D environments, including new external views of your favorite MLB stadiums, and more details to uniforms and equipment. Diamond Dynasty gives you new ways to play, earn, and develop your squad. Same that we pretty much hear each year. Live out your baseball dreams with over 25 new MLB legends, bringing the total to over 180 in game. I didn't never realized we had that many legends. To be honest with you, like form and build your team in Diamond Dynasty. Continue earning. This is interesting. Continue earning rewards after completing a feature program. Spin the wheel whenever you complete a threshold to claim a reward. The more you play, the more you earn. And this is what we were kind of hinting at before. Use captain cards to designate a position player and a pitching captain for your lineup for the first time ever and unlock powerful in-game boosts by meeting criteria unique to these players. Now we go to franchise news. Franchise mode now includes the new MLB postseason format, schedule, and more CBA updates. The MLB draft experience has been revamped to add strategy and depth in managing your organization. And the last bullet is pretty much base your friends with course play platform or do. Um, but yeah, it's always good to get like those little tidbits. I I could have an easy question for you, but I already know what probably you'll answer with. Like, what attracts you the most? Am I fair to say it is the captain cards?
Yes, that is what captures my attention. Because for me, my favorite part about Diamond Dynasty is the team building. Obviously, I want the gameplay to be good and I want to have fun when I'm actually using the cards, but building the team to me is the most fun element of Diamond Dynasty. And so now that, according to this tidbit, we have a little bit more depth to that with the captain cards and special boosts. Can't wait to see what types of boosts they are, how significant the boosts are, how you acquire the boost. You have to, is it like chemistries where you have to pair teammates together? Is it, something entirely different? I'm not sure, but that to me is the most intriguing part about all of this stuff. Just
Mhm,
because, at the end of the day, when you play Diamond Dynasty, everything you do leads back to that central main lineup. Every battle royale run you go on, you're trying to either get stubs or you're trying to get a player that you either sell for stubs or add that player to your team. Every time you play ranked, you're trying to get rewards to do the same thing, so on and so forth. Everything you do goes back to that main lineup. And for me, building that lineup and constructing all of these different theme teams, all of these different, types of player combinations is what makes Diamond Dynasty fun to me. So the more variety in that part of the game, the better for me. That's easily the number one thing I see from this little bit of information we have that captures my attention the most.
yeah, I think that's kind of what I mean, we're Diamond wow. We're Diamond Dynasty, players at heart, so, I mean, anything, that leads to DD, we're gonna notice pretty, quickly, and, yeah, the captain cards definitely sparked my eye there. I'm also curious what the spin wheel is, but I feel like for someone that doesn't really complete everything within the game, it might I feel like that's gonna be affecting more people that are like a completeness, like, where they'll probably give you more once you complete a program and then you spin wheel. That's my grasp of what's going to, be part of that. And then it was good to see franchise, I mean, have something instead of nothing, have the new draft experience, but it also partakes with, um the gameplay in general because now we're going to have the new CBA format, right?
Mhm.
With the updates that should be with the shift, and not only that, with the DH finally, and that's going to I see it affecting all gameplay, not just franchise offline. It's going to be online too, and that could bring a different element when playing online here, especially with shifts no longer being streamed, and then having DH and be able to plug in cards like Nelson Cruz that we've seen in the past that don't have the best reaction or fielding, be part of your lineup.
Yeah, no, I that yeah, DH is going to be a huge change for every element of the game. When I look at like the franchise stuff on here and I see that like I want I
I
want the
want more.
entire game. Yeah. I want the entire game to be,
Yeah.
you know, to make everybody excited to play. Like I want every mode to kind of get their due diligence. I want every mode to get their upgrades year after year. And it's no secret that franchise hasn't gotten that. So for me, looking at it as like the expanded playoff format, that's cool. It should be in the game, but that is to me isn't really like a selling point.
Yeah.
The CBA updates and the draft experience and all that stuff. That's kind of the stuff that I feel like people who are active franchise players are gonna really hone in on. Like I think they're gonna look at that and be like, okay, how are these draft strategies gonna affect how I go about, managing my team for a full season or a full, 5+ year franchise, that is the type of in-depth, not necessarily back end, but like under the hoods type stuff that franchise players want to be upgraded because franchise, like I feel like you can still have fun with, but the issues, the more you play it, are just start to really pile up and everything starts to become glaring. So I think the more they do to all of those logic features, the better. But as you said, we're Diamond Dynasty centric players. I hope the franchise community gets what they want this year. Like,
Yeah,
it's just it's
we've seen the movement they had, right? I mean, pretty
yeah.
much trying to gain more traction with a franchise, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
We are on board to support them. We might come off selfishly because we are DD players, but that doesn't mean we don't care about what other players. We want everyone to enjoy the game, not just online, offline as well. Um, and to me, I thought there would be a little bit more they would add to franchise. I mean, it always could come a little bit later, but just from the MLB draft experience has been revamped, it screams to me this is something they added to MTO just like they did the was it the off-season or trading deadline from last year? And just saying that they also added to franchise as well. Does that make sense? Yeah, wasn't it off season? They had this new system in March, October last year with off season where they reveal what free agents got signed to where. You guys started bidding. That kind of extreme, like kind of, I don't know, screams to me that it's another addition to March, October that they also put in franchise. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
I get that. I could see that for sure. I mean, based off how they've approached March to October the last couple of years, like you know, it just like I wish like March to October is a cool mode for what it is.
Mhm.
It's definitely not something that I really play, but I think the idea of it is pretty cool. But I think the idea of it is there. I don't know or I don't really see how that mode continuously gets upgraded because the idea of the mode is that you take a team and, you know, no pun intended, you march your way to October. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. Whereas franchise is like that deep experience that people want. People want, to be immersed in the idea of running a baseball organization, whether you're looking at it from the manager perspective or the owner perspective, whatever it is. um, that's where people want to see the upgrades. And I get that, obviously I don't know what the numbers are. I don't see what SDS sees on the back end. I don't have all their data. So obviously there's something that March to October is doing that, makes them think they need to keep providing resources to this mode. Um, but I really wish one of these years they would just come out of the gates hot and just say franchise is revamped. Like
Yeah.
everything about franchise is flipped on its head. This mode has been stale for years. Like we're coming out with a bang because you got to think about it. Like a big argument that a lot of people have when they're talking about franchise is like, oh, like, it doesn't make money like Diamond Dynasty does, so they don't care about it. It's like, dude, you realize if you put time and effort into franchise mode, people who like franchise mode are going to play it. Eventually, at some point, those franchise players might say, "Hey, let me check out this Diamond Dynasty mode," and maybe they put some hours into that. If you give every mode their due, there's gonna be that cross, like or that transfer between modes for at least a certain section of the community. So, in my opinion, there's just no reason to not upgrade franchise. And I know they're on a year to year cycle and they have only a limited number of resources that they can use every year and stuff. But like, I just feel like we have this same conversation every single year about franchise mode, and it's like it's kind of tiring at this point.
Yeah, it is. It is. Maybe it's just where they need to scrap last gen as well. I don't know. But we can't really say too much. I mean, we're basing this off like one or two sentences just from the pre-order page. There's still a lot like we haven't seen the feature yet. So we just got to see what comes from it when checking out what they do for franchise news here. So we'll
Yeah.
hope for the best. That's what we'll say. We'll hope for the best. What else did I miss here? Oh, we actually get a little preview of 23 next week, right? Because we get the tech test. I think a week from today. We're
Is
recording on
it? Is that what
Wednesday.
it is?
I think it's on the 16th or 17th. It's either a 16th or a 17th.
Is
Oh, a week
it?
from tomorrow then. Yeah, a week from tomorrow. It's on the 16th. It's from the 16th to the 21st. So we do get a tech test. We got one last year. This one we're at last year we were able to talk about everything, what we saw, what we liked. We got to play co-op for the first time. I'm hoping well, I assume it's going to be the same time this round. And to be honest with you, I feel like this tech test is probably gonna be very, under the microscope. The reason why I say that, because we all I mean, if you listen to this podcast before, when playing the 22, the gameplay just it wasn't up to par for what we liked, right? And we did it's funny because I was gonna bring this up earlier on the podcast where my theory for it, last year in 22, I don't think we got one gameplay update. I think the only, like, technical gameplay update was something with the outer PCI going outside the strike zone. They kinda reduce, the PCI a little bit more, but the gameplay itself, we got 0 updates. So, Cougs, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on for this, next, I guess, 2 minutes here. Um, I feel like once they saw where the gameplay is, I could be totally wrong, and where the community was coming from, they even doubled down on it, during the streams, and I feel like maybe they know there's something up with the gameplay, and just knowing that Peter's gonna be on the cover next year, you kinda had to go, put the uh, try to exceed expectation. Just knowing that you're gonna have the most eyes on this game probably ever, um, with Jeter holding the Captain Edition cover, and who knows what else they're gonna have. And now they're, adding addition to Negro Leagues too, which been requested for years. Maybe they were like, "All right, let's just shift 23 and figure it out there and just try to hone it and go from there." I don't know. I think I'm too crazy having that, like, tinfoil hat on. Maybe I'm being too optimistic when it comes to 23. I'm always optimistic. That's just the way I am. And here is me rambling on about this, but, Kooks, am I crazy? I feel like I am.
I don't think you're crazy. I just think that for me, until I see something, I am not really going to expect much because I've been
Yeah.
in the mindset that this game won't get major gameplay changes until they go all out on the current gen consoles. Like
Okay.
in my opinion, until they drop the PS4 generation, obviously maybe there's going to be some shifts in gameplay, some different, things happening year to year, but we're not going to see that big gameplay change that I feel like a lot of people are looking for until they can fully devote their time to just focusing on the current gen consoles. Um
Yeah. But did you
now,
see that tweet, by the way, though, from Ramon?
oh yeah, yeah, where he kind of smirked at somebody
Smirk
saying that they
when,
wanted some gameplay changes.
Maddie asked, yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, like you said, they didn't do a gameplay patch all year. And, they haven't the gameplay team, they haven't been doing nothing. Like they've obviously
Oh,
had to
no,
been working
exactly.
on
They're working
something.
hard. Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows what that'll be? I mean, for me, I hope to see, assuming that gameplay just kind of looks the same as it does in 22 and just it's more like under the hood stuff. I hope to see less foul balls.
Yes.
I hope to see more consistent PCI feedback results. All
Yes.
this stuff that frustrates you as an MLB The Show player. Like, if we can get a little bit more consistency in that area, I feel like that'll help solve a lot of people's issues with the game. People are still going to complain, and people are still going to have moments where they get angry, whether it's warranted or not. It's just gaming. That's what it is, and it's a baseball game. You can only do so much. But yeah, no, I all I can ask for is gameplay to have consistency. If if the game, if you know what to expect, that's it. Like, what else
Mhm.
can you do? So that's all I really want to see. I'm not gonna be too optimistic that there's gonna be these major changes that, kind of blow my mind or really change the game in a dramatic way. But hey, who knows what these feature premieres are gonna show us?
Yeah, anything like, to go back to the tech test, anything you, like, expect to see from the tech test? I like to see co-op where you could face your friends, like, say if it was us 2 and we wanna face 2 other buddies, right? I hope there's a streamline to do that.
Yeah, well,
Test
that's
out.
that's that's kind of what I was wondering about the tech test is because last year the tech test they really wanted to bring that out to iron out a lot of the kinks with co-op mode because that was a
Mhm.
new mode they wanted to add that in. As of right now, the only thing we know about that is like new to the game is the storyline stuff, which is a single player experience. So I don't know if the tech test is just going to be to test out some server issues, or if it's just if they are going to showcase a new feature that they want us to kind of focus on. Like, I don't know. Either way, I'll be playing the tech test, and
Yeah.
I will be looking at it, because that's what the tech test is. It's fun to play the new game and kind of get excited for it and stuff. But the tech test is really to kind of look at the issues now, so you can kind of say, okay, this needs to be kind of tweaked going into the launch of the game, or this doesn't
Yep,
feel right. That's what it's for.
I agree. So I'm looking forward. I mean, anytime we could just get like a whiff of like new MLB The Show, I mean, it'll be fun to play with, and then see how it tests out. I for the BR player in me, I'm hoping they add DH. So I just want to see how that plays out. I got prep for 23 for me
Yeah.
being that BR player. So see how that plays out and go from there. But that's here or there. I think the most thing I'm looking forward to is see how the gameplay shifts. If there's anything new that they want us to test out from there, like you mentioned, and go from there. But
Yep.
yeah, that's next week. I
The
believe
the
it doesn't
15th.
drop in it's the 15th. Oh, so it's a
So
week
it's a week from
from today
today.
that we're recording. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it drops like in the afternoon. I think it's 10 a.m. your time. So that would be 1 p.m. Eastern our time. I could be totally wrong about those times.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's when it dropped last year too.
so yeah, that should be fun to see. Yeah, and that's pretty much what they gave us so far until we see the feature tomorrow. Maybe gameplay trailer tomorrow
Maybe. If it's not coming out Thursday, the day of the feature premiere, then I think we'll see it
next
Monday.
week.
But there's
Yeah.
got to be a gameplay trailer at some point.
I mean, we got it on the 9th last year, and tomorrow is the 9th. So
What
I
day
think a
of the
lot of
week
people
did that drop though? What day of the week was the
the
ninth last year?
the
Let's
9th
see.
last year,
February
2004
2022. The ninth was a Wednesday, so that would have been like today
today. Yeah.
in the
Maybe they are waiting until next week then.
yeah. But
I
they got to
remember,
drop the
like, in the
trailer before the tech
intro.
test, right?
Oh, yeah, I had to drop it for the tech test. I remember in the intro, like, of the features, they had the trailer being part of that,
Yeah.
but, who knows?
Guess I got to wake up at like 6 a.m. tomorrow to see if they drop it.
I mean,
That's
do you
usually
do
when
you
they
have to
do
do
it.
that each day now? Like, it's that time, do
No,
you set an alarm, or you just
no,
wait
I
until.
don't really do a lot of like the news content like I used to. So,
Okay,
I wake up at 8, 2 hours
whenever it
later,
comes.
like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, they added this.
Have your little coffee. Oh, it's just,
Yeah.
added, like, these other new legends that are gonna be good.
Yep.
Before we get off, I'm going to ask you, who do you think is gonna be at the end of the trailer? But there's a few things I wanna cover before that, and one of them, it kinda goes side I mean, kinda is another big deal. I mean, for me, personally, it's a big deal. I'm sure you feel the same way just for the MLB community, and that was Kriner, getting signed to Luminosity Gaming. I know I botched the team name, but that if you don't know who they are, or they are a big esports, how what I call them, a company or just gaming team?
Esports organization.
Organization, that's a good way to say it. This is why I have you, Cougs. I just can't get the words out of my mouth. Organization, they had I think, Problem is still with them, who's, from the Madden world, and now they're dipping their toes in MLB Show world, and I couldn't be more excited for Kriner. Kriner, he's he's been around this community for quite a while, and he's he's very humble. Um, I think that's and he's very good at the game. And I think I mentioned this story plenty of times before. He was part of one of my tournaments, the community tournaments. I think he was 16. And he's very young. I think he's only 18 now, but still. Um, he was 16, and the game didn't go his way. He made one base running move that should have tagged up, but he never tagged up, and he had plenty of time to do it, and it cost him the game. But he was very humble in his approach, and just giving his kudos to his opponent, and just enjoying his time, and saying he still wants to work on his craft. And by God, he's top. either arguably the top player in the game or in the top 3 in the game. I mean, he's won the plenty of circuits in the past. They've 2 circuits at it, but still, it's really big to see that type of organization dip their toes in MLB Show, especially esports. And hopefully that continues that way, and we see the esports continue to get grown within Show. But that's one big step, I think.
No, yeah, it's huge. And like you said with the esports thing, last year we had what was it? We either had one or two tournaments. I can't remember. But for like the whole second half of the year, we didn't have any esports tournaments. I don't know if that was
No.
because of the state of the game or if it's because Leah or Leia, however you say her name, who was managing the esports stuff. Uh, is no longer at SDS. She left about halfway through the year. I don't know if when she left, things kind of just stopped really rolling or what, but I hope this year that the esports scene kind of comes back. And the fact that we have Kriner as in a very big esports organization,
Oh, wasn't
Luminosity,
Ninja
like
signed to Luminosity at one time?
Ninja, Problem Right, I think
Jeez.
XQC was signed to them at one point. Like Luminosity is not
Yeah.
that's not just some random org
No.
that's out there. This is a one it's one of the biggest gaming organizations in the world. And the fact that Kriner got that contract, got that backing now, it's awesome to see. And so I hope that esports really you know, kind of picks up again for him. But another thing for him, I hope he really goes hard on streaming this year or
Yeah.
whatever content he wants to do. I hope he uses what he has now with this LG or this Luminosity Gaming backing and really continues to not only improve his craft in Diamond Dynasty, but improves his content stuff as well. So I wish you nothing but the best, Kreiner. I'm excited for you. Congratulations. The whole community is proud of you. And hey, man, you might be the pioneer for a lot of these players to start getting, sponsored by organizations, man. It's great to see.
Yeah. It is great to see. It couldn't be more excited for him. Yeah, like, once I saw it, it just sparked I was just smiling from ear to ear because I never thought that would be a thing, but here we are, and hopefully it continues that way. Uh, I think oh, no, the last thing, before we get to the last question of today or last topics today, anything you want to see well, actually, this is kind of like standard question, so I don't even I think it's not even worth it. I was gonna ask, like, what we wanna see in the future future features, but we already kinda know what we're gonna get for, like, the future features. I think the biggest one that we wanna see for us, I mean, personally, is probably gameplay, right? That'll probably if you had to, like, maybe categorize which feature you like to see the most, it's probably the gameplay.
Oh well, for me, it's content because
DD? Oh, for
yeah,
DD. Oh, well, yeah.
like
It's like
because
1A,
the
1B.
yeah the thing with gameplay is that usually when they do these gameplay feature premieres, I mean, it's not usually the most exciting feature premiere. Whereas for me, I can live with a mediocre like gameplay experience if the content is good. Obviously, I don't want that. I want the gameplay and the content to be good. It's kind of a symbiotic relationship there.
Yeah.
But for me, this game lasts because of the content. Because at the end of the day, no matter what the gameplay changes are, you're still going to be playing a baseball game. For me, getting, unlocking stuff, building my team, building my lineup, just kind of getting lost in a whole new fresh start of Diamond Dynasty is really what I'm looking forward to. And just based off the tidbits of information that we were talking about earlier, we didn't really see a lot there about Diamond Dynasty other than the wheel spin and the captains. There's gotta be more kinda that they just haven't really even teased yet, and,
Yeah.
because if 23 is kind of like another year like 22, it's not gonna go well, in my opinion. I think they need to change up some content. I think they need to kinda refresh things, in some way or another, so that's what I'm looking forward to the most, um, because another thing, just quickly with the gameplay stuff, you can tell me a million times that the gameplay has been improved, that the hitting engine is perfect, that the feedback will never lie to you. You can tell me everything you want, hype it up as much as you want. I don't make my judgment on the gameplay until I get my hands on the game. Like at the end of the day, the gameplay is a feeling for me, and I can't judge a feeling when I haven't played the game. So
Yeah,
yeah, the things they say in the gameplay stream might be cool and might be encouraging, but I don't put a lot of stock into it until I get my hands on
fair enough. I and you say that each year. I still have to ask you that loaded question. All right.
it. What about you?
But
What are
yeah,
you are you said your
I
gameplay number one?
it's 1A, 1B with content and gameplay. Me personally, I didn't play the game as much as I did this year because of gameplay, and that showed me something. Like I wasn't like complaining here or there. There's things that aggregate, but that's just sometimes it happens when you play games so much. But it actually made me stop playing here and there.
Yeah,
I think that's why it interests me as much as it does any other previous years, just to see what they combated, what they're going to do about certain things, like we mentioned with the foul balls, so on. And then the content, I am excited to see what the content is. I agree with you. I kind of hope there's a shift. Also, it once again being very selfish here with DD. I'm kind of hoping there's a new mode. We had events BR ranked seasons for quite a bit now. I think
yeah,
4 or 5 years, and it's always been very similar. Even it doesn't even have to be a new mode. It just could be events could be a little bit more crazier. I think you really could not just do it with handiness or with I guess max overalls. There's other stuff I think you can do with it. Um, whether it's like, oh, hey, our position players or something like that. Just get funky with it. That's what I feel like events is there for and what you could do with. But that's here or there, kind of hoping for something different there. Besides that, I I'm just going to take it as it comes. I don't want to go into where I get too hyped up. I think we say this every year. I want to get too hyped up because you don't want to get you don't want to get disappointed, but you just don't want to overload on excitement and then be like, okay, this is all we're getting. I don't know.
yeah. No, I get what
Kind of
you don't want to
just
overhype it. You want to keep
even keel.
expectations limited,
Yeah.
so that way
Yeah.
even if
But
you can overhype it for sure.
yeah, exactly. But we are going to overhype it for right now because the last question for today or the last topic today, I mean, we got Jeter on the cover now, and he will be in the trailer, but they got to have another name at the end of the trailer. I mean, we saw
Yeah,
Randy last year. I expect to see Jeter. I expect to see the Oakland toss, and not only that, his signature throw, like we see in the cover in the hole where he does that jump throw to first base. I expect to see that, but there has to be someone at the end here. And since we didn't get the trailer yet, this will be the last thing we touch on because I expect by next episode we'll have the trailer. But anyone you're expecting to see at the end or want.
I have mine, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay. So realistically, well, not realistically, this is who I want. I mean, I would love Barry, but I don't think Barry's coming. Um, I think with Jeter being on the cover, I would love to see it where he's at the end reveal of the trailer, and then they introduce the guy from Boston, Nomar, and then after that goes with A-Rod. Because once you have Jeter at that shortstop, you gotta have the other two, right? That were
Yeah,
compared throughout the years through their career. Be kinda cool to see that end, like, just, "Oh, here's Jeter doing his thing. Oh, it's ended drought. Oh, here's Nomar. Oh, cool, Nomar Garcia, it's gonna be great." And then all of a sudden you see A-Rod, and then it's just like, "Oh, okay."
oh
That's
yeah,
where
there
you'd be
he
like,
is.
"There he is," and you know what A-Rod could do this game. But yeah, that's my choice. I'm gonna stick to that, and go from there. Hopefully I get, like, at least 1 out of 2 right. I would love Nomar in this game if it's not A-Rod.
Yeah. Um, Before I even get to that, one thing I would love to see in the trailer, and I'm holding out hope. I would love to see Albert Pujols make an appearance in the trailer to confirm that he's still going to be in the game. I would love to
Okay.
see. I would love for them to tell people, "Hey, I know he retired, but we still got Albert." Um, that would be awesome for me. But
That'd be dope.
no, man, dude, I'm shooting for the stars. Yes, I would love to see A-Rod and Nomar and the big shortstops of that time for sure. I'm shooting for the stars. Barry Bonds, baby. Give me Bonds at the end of the trailer hitting a home run with his arms up like this. Give me
Did
Barry.
you see what I did? Actually, this is me. I actually created something similar to that. Check that
I
out.
did see that. Yep, yep,
You did?
yep.
That's
I
what we
did see.
need. That's
Well,
exactly what we need.
and think
And
about
if
that. Not only would Barry Bonds be just crazy at the end, a lot of people would love it, and a lot of people would hate it because Barry
yeah,
Bonds is such a divisive player. But at the end of the day, people are talking about MLB The Show. Give me Barry Bonds at the end of the trailer.
I mean, you got Jeter for recovery. It's time to just, go fully out.
Got to
This is
do it.
this is the year, to go. I mean, like we were saying from the start of this episode, you're going to get the most eyes on MLB Show probably ever. It was on freaking national TV just to
It's on the
be able to
Tonight
cover it.
Show.
I know we've never seen that before. I don't even know if we ever seen that for a sports game before, personally. So that's that just says something right there. They're kind of all in, for this year. I mean, they're always all in, but when you have Jeter on the cover, there's something special about that.
Yep.
Um, I think it's like his 12th different or 14th different cover that you rocked on the baseball game with all those all-star baseballs, 2K, and
Yep.
now being an MLB Show. So anyway, Hooks, it's been good to be back here talk about new news.
Yep.
And now we're going to be impatiently waiting until March 24th. You have early access, or to March 28th when the game comes out, regularly on that Tuesday. But you know what? We'll be here talk about each feature. We'll be talking about the tech tests and much more, new legends, gameplay trailer, and more. We are very excited here to get more MLB Show 23 news. We appreciate you guys listening and either watching on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on YouTube. We're at youtube.com/inside the show. We'll have each episode right here and more. You can follow us on Twitter, Inside the Show PC. Once again, twitter.com/inside the show PC. Follow my boy Kooks on his social. He's at twitter.com/Kooks46. Find all of his socials there. I'm at ScuffyBTV. Kooks, episode 1 of season 4. It's been 4 years. 4 years doing
That's
this.
wild. That's wild.
It is wild. Kind of crazy.
We're here for another good one.
Another good one, exactly. So, hope you guys are strapped in. We are over here, and we'll catch you guys next time on Inside the Show. You guys have a good week. Peace out.